If you've ever thought about how one event could topple kingdoms and birth a new world, the Black Death is a chilling yet fascinating tale of destruction, transformation, and human endurance. Imagine a disease so deadly it wiped out the entire cities, leaving streets littered with the dead and the living gripped by fear. This was the Black Death, a horrifying pandemic that tore through Europe in the 14th century, claiming the lives of nearly 50 million people. In just a few short years, this plague transformed thriving societies into ghost towns, sparking chaos, superstition, and monumental shifts that would reshape history forever. It began in the bustling trade routes of Central Asia, where black rats carrying fleas infected with a deadly bacterium found their way onto merchant ships. By 1347, the disease, later identified as the bubonic plague, had reached Europe, spreading like wildfire through port cities and into the heart of the continent. Wherever it struck, it left devastation in its wake, killing indiscriminately and with shocking speed. The symptoms were terrifying: swollen, blackened lymph nodes, buboes, fever, vomiting, and unbearable pain. In mere days, victims would succumb, their bodies blackened and lifeless. The panic that followed was equally grim. Families abandoned loved ones, priests fled their congregations, and villages were left eerily silent. People turned to desperate measures, seeking divine forgiveness, performing bizarre rituals, or blaming scapegoats like Jews and travelers, sparking violent persecutions across Europe. The fight against the plague also planted the seeds of modern medicine. Though medieval remedies, like herbal concoctions, amulets, and leeching, did little to stop the disease, communities began experimenting with isolation and quarantines. These early efforts at public health would evolve into the tools we use to combat pandemics today. The Black Death was a nightmare of unimaginable proportions, but from its ashes, Europe emerged transformed. It toppled old systems, ushered in an age of innovation, and left behind lessons of resilience and reinvention. This story of death and survival, of fear and hope, is a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the unstoppable force of change.